guys! So this is Audrey, Jehmianne, Lorene, and Pia. So our agenda for today is to talk about Filipino film 100 for our 21st century literature class. We hope you enjoy.
First, we're going to talk about the concept of life and death in our point of view.
We view life as just a holding area or a preparatory stage of what is yet to come after death. We believe that to be able to say that you have lived your life, you must have experienced almost everything here. It does not necessarily have to mean that what your friend experienced here in this certain place is what you will also experience. Because experience is something relative. It's not the same for everyone. This is based on philosophy. We view death as the failure of the physical body to carry on, leaving the soul to go onwards. Really, death is inevitable. Since we're young, we know that it's something we're going to experience at some point in our lives. Some people experience it earlier than most, and this just goes to show how the time you have here to prepare for what is next after death is limited.
Next, we're going to talk about how the movie portrays the concept of life and death.
The film showed that the main character, Joyce, was very career-oriented and was very successful in her career. But when the time that she knew that she had cancer and only had 100 days to live, she immediately changed and prioritized in maximizing her last days. This can be understandable since in life, one usually thinks for the future, and if one doesn't prioritize his or her career first when one is still young and capable, how can one live peacefully in the future? And if one knows that she can't even reach a stage that she can fend for his or herself in the future, as she is going to die real soon, one will do all that he or she can to savor every last moment of his or her life. It was also depicted in the film that Joyce wants to end her life without leaving any problem behind for other people. It was also shown when one dies, he or she would want his or her friends and family to be happy, and that they could gain something from his or her death. It was also shown from the film that we should accept the fact that it's just a matter of time that everyone in this world dies. This is clearly shown when Joyce convinces her family and friends to accept her death. And for someone who is already about to die, he or she would have to know that death is not a taboo subject, and just like Joyce, one should instead make the most out of her life and openly talk about her death and how she wants it to be when the time comes. It is like accepting and facing death despite fear of no longer existing and being forgotten. It is also shown in the film that when Joyce dies, she wants to die happy and with a light heart. The movie also tackled the superstitiousness of Filipinos, as said by Joyce's best friend Ruby, that they believe that if one dies, the dead are able to visit and let the living feel that they are still with them, and it is called paramdam in Filipino. Heaven was also tackled in the film, and it was said in the movie that everyone wanted to go to heaven but they don't want to die. This shows the strong influence of religion to the thinking of Filipinos and that they treat heaven as a reward, and that is why they want to do good and not commit sin in their lives as humans.
Next, where we take the penchant for philosophizing to the point of romanticizing death stems from.
We think that the penchant for philosophizing and romanticizing death stems from mankind's curiosity and thirst for knowledge. The very uncertainty of what happens after our lives end is what makes death so frightening yet mysterious and alluring at the same time. This leaves our natural curiosity unsatiated, with only our guesses and hypotheses, without knowing the truth, the reality of what happens to us after death. When we finally die, there are, we believe, only 3 possible outcomes. 1. We will cease to exist. 2. We will be reborn. Or 3. There is an afterlife someplace else, not necessarily in heaven and hell. If we will cease to exist, then it will be as if we are only in a deep slumber, undisturbed even by our dreams. If we will be reborn, then our life will only restart, and there is nothing to fear. And if there is an afterlife, then we will possibly meet all the other people who have passed, such as our family and friends, and of course, our Creator. As Dumbledore once said, after all, to the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure.
Lastly, we will be discussing about the thematic point we think best connects with current issues.
Throughout the movie, an underlying concept that is repeatedly shown is Joyce's feelings of hopelessness regarding her inevitable death. Joyce is a practical person. Instead of simply waiting for death to come, she arranges the details of her own wake. But the point still stands. She was already hopeless by that point. Rather than fighting for life until her last breath, she accepted it despite having a few months more to live. She declined her friend's suggestion of undergoing chemotherapy and outright rejected her mother's demands for her treatment. Even if it is bad for her, she also indulges in vices such as smoking. One modern issue which is prevalent, especially in our society today, is suicide or the act of killing oneself. Suicide seems to be a counterproductive issue to bring up, considering how having a terminal illness such as cancer brings a more concrete idea of inevitability compared to the more psychological effects of mental illnesses. These two ideas seem to be contradictory, and yet the underlying concepts are comparable. Similar to Joyce, people who consider or commit suicide are those who have already given up on themselves. Instead of fighting against the problems they are facing, they choose to take the easier way out. They think that killing themselves would end their problems in the physical world and then live their life after death. However, committing suicide is not and will never be a solution, since this will only hurt the people around them and possibly create more problems than there were in the first place. Even if we are already suffering, we shouldn't lose hope and we should always fight to see another day.